But another guy that I'd like to move on to, because really it's been a hot topic all week. I asked to change out one of the topics. We had a different topic picked for this, but I said we have to change this out to talk about Deshaun Watson and his situation going on and ongoing in Houston, a very fluid situation that he currently wants out of Houston. What are you hearing on that, Pat?
Yeah, I mean, I don't blame Watson for this point. You know, he didn't get along with Bill O'Brien. Neither did a lot of the other players at Houston. I heard actually that it was J.J. Watt who probably was the one who got Bill O'Brien fired, who said we can't have this guy here anymore. I actually always thought Bill O'Brien was a decent coach. It was Bill O'Brien, the GM, that really hurt Bill O'Brien, the coach in Houston, and I think that's sort of come to fruition. Then they have Jack Easterbay in there, who was with the Patriots as a team chaplain, almost like a team sort of minister, psychologist, really would sit down and talk to guys and help guys out, but was never really a personnel guy. All of a sudden, he's sort of thrust into this general manager, president of the team kind of role, and I don't think he really knows exactly what he's doing, and now it sounds like the players don't like him either. So then he makes a hire, again out of New England. So you have Bill O'Brien that comes in. Watson doesn't like him. Other players don't like him towards the end. Then you have, Easterbay in there, who's also from New England. Players don't like him. Things aren't great. It's a mess. Then he hires the general manager, Nick Caserio, who I think is going to be very good, but he's also out of New England. And then you have another guy out of New England, and now it's like we keep taking these guys from the same place, and we didn't like the first two guys. Why are you grabbing another guy from that same program to then come in here again when we already did like the first two guys? The second part of that is Deshaun Watson talked to ownership, and I think he talked to Easterbay too, and said, could I please be part of this process? Could I be, part of the process of picking the general manager,
He really is in charge at this point of, calling that shot, because he has a no trade clause built into his contract. So he has to waive that no trade clause to actually be traded to a team. I heard he was willing to trade that, to waive that, to go to Miami. Is Miami going to be willing to do that in a kind of a swap for Tua Tagovailoa for Deshaun Watson? I think if I'm Miami, I'd be willing to do that. If I'm the Texans, am I willing to do that? Am I going to get enough in return for a generational quarterback that you might never get to see again, you might never have on your franchise again? And I'm talking about drafting in the future. They might never have a quarterback this good again, maybe ever again. Right. I was going to say 20 or 30 years, but honestly, maybe ever again. Deshaun Watson is a once-in-a-lifetime talent. This guy can throw on the run. He's a field general. He's a locker room guy. He's a high-character guy. He can be the face of your franchise. He can be the face of the NFL, realistically. This guy is such a good player, such a good person. This is the type of guy that you want to have on your team, and you want to give him a $300 billion contract so he sticks around. But you also want to give him those weapons, and you also want to give him a chance to have some insight into the roster and the guys that he's going to be playing with. I think you're seeing how the Texans didn't do that. They really upset him. He wanted to see Eric Bieniemy as at least brought in for an interview, and I guess the Texans didn't do that. And I mean, come on. How hard is it to just bring a guy in, give this guy an interview? Now your quarterback sees that, all right, you're seeing that he's part of the process, and that's going to go a long way, especially with him wanting to stick around. They didn't do that, and now he wants out of town.
Yeah, absolutely. I think, if he does get traded to Miami, that is going to be a huge shapeshifter in the NFL, because first of all, now you're giving an elite quarterback, a top 5 quarterback, to the Miami Dolphins, who already have a good defense. I think they have a good head coach. They probably need to add another wide receiver, but Devontae Parker, very solid. Mike Gesicki, tight end, very solid. They got a good running game. They are going to be – now you throw them into the AFC East with the Bills, and you're going to have a really good top of the AFC East if you do have Deshaun Watson go to Miami. And then for Houston, I think Miami's one of those teams who, if they do get a quarterback, can be contenders immediately. So they are going to be willing to give up a lot of draft picks. First of all, they have Houston's first-round pick this year, which is number 3 because of the Laramie Tunsil trade that they made to Houston. So they'll be getting their pick back. Then they'll be getting Miami's probably the next 3 first-round picks, or maybe next 2, and then they include Tua, where if you're Houston, you bring Tua in. There's sort of a 50-50 debate on Tua, I think, in Miami right now. So if they're not huge fans of him, he goes down to Houston, gets a fresh start. We'll see who they add to the team, and then that might be better for both quarterbacks. They might get a completely new start for both of them, and that could help out both teams. So I think that would be a great trade. The biggest thing you got to see right now is Nick Caserio is going to be the one that is going to figure this out. He's either going to talk to Deshaun Watson and say, "I'm here now. I want to include you in the process. Let's talk. Let's figure this out." Or he might talk to Watson, and Watson might be ready to go right now and doesn't want to stick around. So then I think they do make that deal possibly with Miami. So we'll see how that shakes out over the next couple of weeks leading up to the draft in April.